why do we suffer? I mean, really, why do bad things happen to good people? It's one of the oldest, heaviest questions there is, right? It's the kind of question that can make you doubt everything. Well, today, we're going to look that question right in the eye.
I mean, think about it. If the universe is supposed to have some kind of order, some divine plan, then why all the chaos? Why the pain and the injustice? This isn't just something we wonder about late at night. It's a huge philosophical problem that people have been wrestling with for thousands of years.
So, how do we even begin to make sense of it all? Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful way of thinking from an ancient school of philosophy. We'll start with the problem itself, then meet the philosophers who tackled it. After that, we'll get into the 4 big reasons they gave for suffering, see how that leads to inner peace, and finally uncover their ultimate goal. Let's do this.
Okay, first, let's just appreciate how big of a challenge this is. Trying to explain why evil exists. That's one of the toughest gigs in all of philosophy.
A lot of philosophies have tried to kind of sidestep the issue or ignore it or blame it on some cosmic fight between good and evil, but one group, the Stoics, they just met it head on. They didn't just accept suffering, they actually built a whole logical system to understand our world, suffering and all.
So who were these Stoics anyway? Well, their story doesn't start in some fancy university, but out in the open, in a public square in ancient Athens.
The founder was a guy named Zeno of Citium. Now, Zeno wasn't an Athenian citizen, so he wasn't allowed to rent a proper building for a school. So what did he do? He taught in a public place, a painted porch known as the Stoa Poikile. And from that one simple word, Stoa, we get the name for this entire way of thinking, Stoicism.
Zeno had this absolutely brilliant way of explaining his philosophy. He said it was like a garden. Logic, that's the fence that protects the whole thing. Physics, which for them was the study of nature and the cosmos, those are the trees growing inside the fence. But the whole reason you have the garden, the entire point of it all, is the fruit. And for the Stoics, that fruit was ethics, how to live a good, calm, and virtuous life.
And to get that fruit to actually live that good life, they realized they first had to understand why life is so often, well, not so good. And that led them to come up with 4 major arguments to explain why we suffer.
We're going to walk through each one of these step by step, and you're going to see how they build on each other, starting with a pretty abstract idea and ending with something incredibly personal about our own pain.
All right, first up, the logical argument. The Stoics said, look, nothing can exist without its opposite. How can you possibly understand what hot is without cold, or up without down? Well, they argued it's the exact same thing with good and evil. The very concept of good would be totally meaningless if you didn't have evil to compare it to. They're just 2 sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other.
Next up is the cosmological argument. And for this one, you have to zoom way out. The Stoics saw the entire universe as one single perfect living thing. So, from our tiny human point of view, getting sick or losing a job is a disaster. But from the perspective of the whole cosmos, that same event might be a crucial piece of a much larger, beautiful pattern. So, what feels like a personal tragedy to us is actually a benefit to the whole.
The third reason is the physical argument. The Stoics believed the world was made of 2 things, raw, kind of messy matter, and a divine, organizing reason that shapes it. They argued that suffering is basically the friction you get when that perfect divine reason tries to bring order to the stubborn, imperfect material world. It's like the sparks that fly when a sculptor is carving a masterpiece out of a rough block of stone.
Okay, to get this last and I think most powerful argument, we need to know one key Stoic idea, pneuma. Pneuma was what they called the vital spirit, the spark of life that connects your mind and your body. Think of it as your inner strength, your spiritual core. And the most important thing to know is they believe you could train it, you could make it stronger.
And that brings us to the ethical argument, the one that makes it all personal. Why does evil exist? The Stoics' answer is, for you. They believe suffering actually has a purpose. It's there to test you, to refine you, and to perfect your pneuma. Hardship is like the fire that tempers steel. Every challenge you overcome with courage and grace makes that inner spirit of yours tougher and more resilient.
So, if you can accept these 4 reasons, that suffering is logical, it's cosmic, it's physical, and it's for your own ethical training, what then? How does that actually change the way you live your life? Well, this is where we get to the Stoic path to inner peace.
See, this whole framework isn't just an intellectual game. It's a practical guide. The Stoics were convinced that if you could truly understand why things are the way they are, you could reach this incredible state of inner calm no matter what was happening in the world around you.
The first goal on this path is something called apatheia. Now, that sounds a lot like apathy, but it's really the opposite. It doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you're free from being yanked around by destructive emotions like blind rage or panic. It's about letting your calm, clear reason be your guide, not your passions.
And if you can achieve apatheia, you can reach the ultimate goal for a Stoic, ataraxia. This is a deep, unshakable calm, a profound serenity. It's the feeling you get when you truly understand your place in the universe and you accept reality for what it is. It's like building a fortress inside yourself that no external event can ever break into.
And all of this really brings us to the heart of the Stoic approach to life. It's not about trying to avoid suffering. They knew that was impossible. It's about using your understanding to completely change your relationship to suffering.
So the Stoic ideal is to accept what you can't change with a calm composure. But listen, this is not about being passive or just giving up. It is an active, powerful, rational choice. It's deciding not to waste your energy fighting battles you are guaranteed to lose. To a Stoic, that's just smart.
And this quote just nails their whole perspective. Most people react to life with pure emotion, either crying in despair or laughing in ignorance. But the Stoic has a higher aim. The goal isn't to cry, it isn't to laugh, it's to understand.
So, we'll leave you with this pretty radical idea from the Stoics. What if your pain isn't meaningless? What if it's a necessary part of the cosmos, designed to forge you into a stronger, better person? And that leaves just one question, and it's for you. If you truly believed your suffering had a purpose, how would that change the way you face it?